let's pump the brakes. This is not the way, I don't think this is coming across the way I want to. Oh man, I am crazy for this one. What's going on, guys? Carter here with Edge Mindset. We're talking about, okay. All right, before you click away, before you leave a thumbs down and a hate comment and then bounce, please hear me out for a second on why I'm doing this video. There's a couple reasons why I think this makes sense. And yeah, so the point, top 3 reasons why you should consider buying a Chinese-made knife. And specifically, I'm talking Chinese-made. Some of this applies to just any overseas, but really, I want to, yeah, let's hit the nail on the head. We're talking Chinese OEM'd knives and why I think you should consider buying them. Or you could go as far as to say, why they might be better in some instances than American-made knives. Now, wait. Okay, so I've done a lot of videos talking about American-made knives, why I prefer them, why you should give them a chance, why, even though sometimes it doesn't seem like the clear winner, there's other things behind the scenes that would make you want to buy an American-made knife and, you know, the heart and the soul of the knife. I've done lots of videos on that. One thing I have never done is talked about the benefits of Chinese-made knives, nor have I seen anybody else do it. I'm not saying they haven't. They probably have. I just haven't seen it. But I haven't seen anyone talk about that. And in my opinion, you want to, or in my opinion, we need to talk about things from all angles. And it's just a discussion. This is just a video, right? I am not, I am not doing any substantial thing politically. This is just a conversation video. I want to talk about it, some things that have been rattling around in my head that I think are worth considering. And if we don't talk about these things, neither side can grow, whether it's, American-made makers or overseas makers or whatever. We've got to have open communication. And I just thought it'd be kind of a fun video, even though I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. Regardless of how well I try to explain myself, I know I'm going to get a lot of comments. I'm going to get some unfollowers. I'm going to get some thumbs downs. And that's fine. That's fine. That's what happens when you voice your opinion or you do controversial topics, which this really shouldn't be a controversial topic. But here we are nonetheless. Now, after the video, I will run through these knives in case you're wondering what the heck are these, and you want to know a little bit more about what they are. At the end of the video, I will go through these and kind of do an overview of what these knives are. So, top 3 reasons. Now, I could have split this out to 5. That would have a more ringy tone to it, but it would have been a stretch. I would have had to take really sub-points of my main points and turn those into main points just to hit the 5, and I don't want to do that. There's only 3 main reasons why I think Chinese knives can, in some instances, be superior to American-made knives. Even saying that out loud makes me feel very nervous. It does. Like, my beehole is puckered saying that with the backlash that I might be facing, especially with my customer base. Now, if you're coming across this video, I hate to say randomly, but if you're coming across this video kind of randomly, you may be confused, but I have a very large pro-American knife following, because that's been my primary stance for a long time, and I've done a lot of content promoting American-made brands, and so doing a video like this is going to seem really out of pocket and throw people for a loop, so they might be a little upset, in case you were wanting some context as to why I'm worried, if you're not familiar with my channel and stuff. So, number 1, we'll get into it. Number 1, I know you're like, dude, just say the damn things. I want to hear the things. Number 1, the obvious one. We'll get the obvious one out of the way, which is cost. It's inexpensive to have things made in China. Even with the more current political changes, I'm not going to say the words, I don't want to get flagged, going on, it's still insanely cheap for USA to manufacture things in China. It just is what it is. You're always going to get more of a bang for a buck. Now, I want to dive into that a little bit more, because it's somewhat of the case of don't hate the player, hate the game, right? So America has kind of, in recent years, right? I'm not talking 40s, 50s, 60s. In recent years, we've really accelerated our growth as a country by leveraging cheap labor in countries like China. That's how we've built things, and that's how we've grown so fast. Which makes sense, right? Why purposely make something for more money when you can do it far less expensively by leveraging other countries, and it allows you to accelerate your growth. Now, we could have a big discussion on, is that hurting us long term for short term gains? That's a whole thing, economics and stuff, but that is the system that we've built recently. That is how we do things here in America. We have outsourced our manufacturing. Like, even go look at Greg Medford's videos. He's very, very pro-American, but he will admit it is insanely difficult to do manufacturing in the United States. Like, it is an uphill battle the whole way because our infrastructure is not set up to do it. And and you can say, well, that sucks. I don't like that. Great. Then we need to do things to fix that. But one way that will not fix that is by forcing yourself to overspend on knives made in the US. I mean, if you want to do that, if that makes you feel good, you want to support the makers, that's awesome. But that's not going to change the system. And my worry is that for people that really want to change that system, they think that they're doing it by just pumping money into these US makers. You are supporting these businesses, you're supporting these people, and that is absolutely great, but that is very small scale. This is a much bigger thing. America does not manufacture its own goods for the most part. Now, I know somebody's going to chime in and say, well, there's a factory down the street. Yeah, for sure. There is. But for the most part, we have outsourced our manufacturing capabilities overseas. And so anybody that wants to do manufacturing, it's tough, right? It's not going to be that economical. And usually it has to be done on a small scale, right? There's smaller operations. They're kind of more bespoke. They appeal to maybe people with more disposable income. Manufacturing in the US for the masses has gone away. Now, I know people are like, well, it's not an excuse. You should stand up to your morals. I would go back to my point. Okay, if that makes you feel good, but don't think that you're actually changing anything. Oh man, this sounds so bad. Sounds so bad. This is not, let's pump the brakes. This is not the way, I don't think this is coming across the way I want to. I'm actually promoting us changing the system. I want to buy American knives. I want to buy this ridiculous, crazy machine knife made by an American company. I want that. I do. As it stands, it just doesn't make sense. It's just not monetarily viable for me to buy stuff like this all the time made in the US. And I would like to see that changed. But me forcing myself to spend $3,000 on something like this isn't gonna make that change. It does support the makers, but that's not gonna change our economic global trade system, right? It's much larger than that. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying I'm not on that side. I'm just saying you spending extra money, forcing yourself to spend extra money for something that really shouldn't cost that isn't going to fix that. All right. Whew. Okay. So this point, man, I think I already went off the rails. If that came across incorrectly, I apologize. I did not mean for it to be some anti-manufacturing in America. I want that. But it has to make sense. It has to make sense, right? And in order for it to really be successful, it has to be accessible by everybody, not just a couple hundred rich dudes that can throw money in U.S. companies. I mean, that's fine if that's what they want to do. I'm just saying I want to see real change. I want to see affordable USA manufacturing. Let's keep it with knives. I want to see affordable USA made knives that are almost to the caliber of what we're seeing coming out of China. I don't think that'll ever be the case, but I think we can get close, but it requires some massive changes to the way we do international business. So next one, Chinese companies, they're hungry, right? That is very powerful. They're hungry. They're trying to, they're facing a lot of backlash, less now than they have been over the last 5 years or so. But they're getting a lot of pushback. They get a lot of hate. And they are trying to change that. They're trying to change their image. They're trying to be considered a viable source of manufacturing and knives. And so as such, they're working their asses off. We're talking really good customer service. They are listening to customers. They're making the changes that people want to see. And they're doing it all in a very affordable way. And they are going above and beyond, adding things to the knives to make them better. And it's something I've heard a lot of people complain about in American Knives, is that they've just kind of become complacent. They just keep doing the same thing. QC is going down the hill. They're not being innovative. They're not really trying. Now, I don't know if that's true. That could all be constraints due to the number one point is just it's not financially viable to do extra. Like, in the US manufacturing, they might be at their limit just continuing to make goods. They may not have any more time or disposable income to put into innovation and QC. I don't know. I don't have their books. That could very well be the case. But that is a complaint I hear a lot on my channel. You got to remember, too, when I do videos like this, it's primarily my own opinion, but I get a lot of influence from people that maybe you don't as a viewer. I get a lot of comments that you don't see because you are watching your little slice of the knife world or whatever. But I get comments from all over the place. I get comments from pro-American, anti-American knives. Well, not anti-American knives, but pro-overseas, people that have issues with American-made knives. I get comments from just regular people that stumble across my video that are not in the knife world, right? They have no idea. Even this knife here, this $100, like I would consider this an absolute banger of a knife for the money. This is like just over $100, titanium frame lock, S35BN. And they will say how ridiculously overpriced this knife is. So perspectives, right? Like everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different mind frame on what they're thinking. And so for me, this is an amazing deal of a quote unquote budget knife. And other people look at this and they will literally comment in angry caps that how dumb I am for spending $100 on a knife. They would never spend more than $10 on a knife. All the time I get these comments. So keep that in mind. I'm framing this being, I hate to say public figure, that sounds so dumb, but I get a lot of different data inputs from a lot of different sources, as well as talking to different makers, American makers, Chinese makers, custom knife makers, right? So anyways, holistically, I'm getting a lot of data and I'm compiling it and I'm trying to represent it here, but it's not all just me, right? So some of these things I'm saying aren't necessarily things that I wholeheartedly agree with. These are pictures that have been painted for me by other people that I think are interesting and want to discuss. Sorry I keep hitting or beating this dead horse. I just want to make sure that the things I'm saying are not coming across how I don't want them to, right? As I don't want them coming through unintended, because my goal of this video really is not to piss people off. It's to have a discussion, and it's a side of a discussion I don't see represented all that well. So, number 2. The rest will go faster. I've been really chewing the fat on this one. Oh, no, we already did number 2, and that is They Are Hungry. So a sub piece to number 1 and 2 is it allows for certain things in the market to take shape when it never could have before. So we've got, love them or hate them, we've got YouTube knife reviewers that are designing knives and making knives. We've got artists, graphic designers. We've got people that are trained to be artistic that can now make knives because they can design it on a computer or even on paper, get in touch with one of these OEMs and get a knife made. There has been some really amazing, innovative, cool stuff that come out of that. There's also been a bunch of garbage, right? Everybody and their dog wants to design a knife, and not everybody and their dog should design a knife. But it does give a voice to people that in the past didn't have a voice. Back in the day, the only people that really got into the knife game for the most part are people that were kind of born into it, right? Knife Makers Guild. They had friends, family that were in there and they kind of brought into it. Or people that were in the machining industry and they knew how to work steel and machining, and they saw the knife thing and they're like, I think I can do that. Right. And so you're always going to be kind of limited on the voices that you get in that particular industry because it's going to be limited to external factors that are out of people's control. Think of all of the people in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s that could have designed the next great knife, but it didn't happen because they weren't a machinist. They didn't have access to they didn't have the funds to build their own shop. They didn't know people like that. Maybe they were white collar workers and they really had no access to building or manufacturing physical goods. And so we never saw those ideas. We never saw those knives. And even if you don't like a lot of the stuff coming out of those pockets, they're going to influence the whole thing at large, right? And even if you still absolutely hate Chinese knives, I feel it will have a positive influence on American-made knives, right? It's kind of putting a little fire to their feet, a little flame to try and innovate and do better, less money, all of those things. So we've never seen that before. You get a lot of really cool, this is an example, right? So this is a Kubi OEM Dam Designs. This wouldn't have existed, right? I forget the name of the owner or designer of this company, but he is not a knife maker by trade. He is, okay, I just failed that front flipper there. There we go. I had to do it two-handed. He's a designer. We wouldn't have seen that knife. Now you may say that's nothing special, so I don't care, and that's fine. But still, being able to allow these knives to be made in the way they are, at the speed that they are, people can take risks, people can try new things. Wasn't really the case back in the day. Number 3. Now this is kind of an odd one, and it's definitely two sides of the same coin. So, let me see. How do I frame this? So figureheads, and this kind of fits into the whole heart and soul of the American thing, right? So one of the big criticisms of Chinese-made knives is they don't have the heart and they don't have the soul like American-made companies. And that is very, very true. And that is a big positive, right? You pop into Emerson, you pop into Strider and CRK, you've got a dedicated fan base who are very animated about their love for these knives. They discuss, they joke, they support, they do all these cool things. And once again, I have multiple videos talking about how much I absolutely love that aspect of the knife world. If you're seeing this in a bubble, this is not, I have done the opposite of this video dozens of times, but this is the first time I've tackled this subject this way. So just got to reiterate that. That's one of the big things, is the heart and the soul of the company. But on the other side of the coin, you also have kind of anti that, right? You would not believe the amount of times that I post a knife that I love and I get a ton of backlash because of the owner. That owner is an a-hole, he's a jerk, he's a con artist, he ripped people off, and I'm just like, I like the knife. Sometimes I'm aware of that controversy, like with Strider knives. Sometimes I have no idea. Like I posted those Stout knives, and I got multiple comments about people that don't like JB Stout. I don't know. He flipped off his neighbor. I don't even know. I don't know. I'm not in on that drama. But they are very adamant that they will never support anything he makes because of something. I'm not even sure. And I'm not trying to minimize it. I honestly have no idea what that particular thing is. And I get that all the time to varying degrees on every single knife maker, even Chris Reeve, right? Chris Reeve, people talk about his character and how he's not really that good of a guy. And even though he doesn't own the company anymore, they won't buy CRK knives because of it. And it's a little ridiculous and exhausting. And you don't really get that with Chinese-made knives because, for good or for bad, for the most part, these are a business, right? And it has its ups and downs. The Chinese are approaching this from a business standpoint. They are trying to make money by selling knives. How do they make money by selling knives? By making them inexpensive, available, innovative, and well done, well manufactured, right? You could equally say that's what I want from a physical object. I want somebody that takes that responsibility of making the best physical object for the money ever. So that's the counter argument to the heart and soul thing, right? Is heart and soul, it's a knife. It's a physical knife. I just want the best knife for the money that I can get that's executed the very best. On the opposite side of the standpoint, and I've taken this stance on multiple videos, again, in fact, this is my primary stance, is Who cares about the physical object? The physical object is just a representation of the company, of the culture, of the people, right? That's what I'm into. I'm into the friendships. I'm into the jokes. I'm into the support. I'm into the history, all that stuff. You know, as long as the object is good enough, that's all that really matters. Who cares if it's got all the whiz-bang features on it? Who cares if it's got the latest and greatest this or that? I just want the feeling I get when I own and hold and talk to the people. I see both sides, and I fluctuate. Like, you know, full transparency, I fluctuate. You'll see that on my channel. I will go wholeheartedly into a brand like Strider, and honestly, here's a little sneak peek behind the curtain. When you see my channel dive into something like Strider's exclusively, what's actually happening behind the scene is I've pretty much said, I am going to stop this YouTube stuff. I am just going to buy, collect, and own a small subset of the knife world and just hang out on the forums, hang out with people at shows, pull away from this exhausting latest, greatest, here's this thing, here's that thing, how do I get views? I literally am about to walk away from this channel, and then every single time what happens is I say, well, I'm getting Striders in. I know some people want to see them, so I might as well upload content on them. But then once again, I get pulled into the YouTube monster, and I'm trying to compete with other channels, and then I move away. Like, it's just this back and forth kind of ebb and flow of my channel. But that's the reason why I do it, because I kind of get sick of just chasing the, you know, there's just so much. You know, like I like all these, but there's no end to the amount of these kind of things that are out there. Like every single day there's some new, especially when we're talking Chinese knives, there's some new Chinese knife that I'm like, oh, that one looks really cool. And, you know, it's a great deal for what you're getting and all these things. And it does get kind of exhausting. And there's times where I like to just say, you know what, I'm just going to pick a brand that I like and pretty much dedicate to it and just enjoy the hobby. So that's what's going on when you see that little tangent there. So I am well versed in the concept of, you know, the substance over the object. But I just want, like I said, I hear a lot of opinions, and I see both sides. And so the counter argument to that is, let's get rid of all of this nonsense about who the owner is or what the company stands for or this or that. And let's get back to just making the best knife that we can possibly get for the money. And anyways, all right. So those are the three reasons. I hope those came across all right. This is going to be one of those videos that I'm going to watch a couple times, edit, make sure what I'm saying is coming across as I intend them to. And yeah, so let's run through these knives real quick for those that hung around and want to see it. This is the Buckhorn from Carbon Blades, designed by Ken Onion. And see, another thing I didn't want to muddy the waters with on this video is there's really three tiers to Chinese-made knives, right? Or there's three tiers to like America versus China, right? You have the America designed and owned and manufactured knife, right? American all the way through. And then you have American-owned companies that are getting OEM'd in China. So think like Chavez Knives, JB Stout, like I mentioned, he had some knives made over there. Sharp Eye Design, Brian Nadal, right? He's an American custom maker, but he has had a bunch of his production knives made by Riot in China. Same with Something Obscene Company, right? There's a bunch of these companies where it's kind of split, right? Because on one hand, the manufacturing is being done in China. So you are supporting Chinese-made knives when you buy those, but it's also a USA-based company that does have U.S. representation, U.S. employees, and the owner is in the USA, and they are actually getting the lion's share of the money you're putting into the company. And then, of course, you have the wholly owned, you know, Chinese company, Chinese-made knives as well. Now, even these will have USA-based people, right? Like this is a Kunwu Primo, and it is a Chinese-based company with Chinese manufacturing, but they go to USA shows. They have offices here. They have places where you can send knives in for return and distribution centers, right? So they do have a small footprint in the US. It's not like you're ordering this from a Chinese website and then everything is over there. That's the fourth tier, I guess you could say, which is like this one. So I guess there's four tiers. The bottom two are a little smaller. This is a District 9 Marauder. This is a Chinese through and through. Like, you have to order this from China. There is no, okay, let me take that back. White Mountain Knives, I think, will get some of these in, but I think they've just got connections. They place an order, they get a bunch in, and they resell them. District 9 does not go to knife shows. They don't have a presence here in the U.S. They have no employees here in the U.S. They are wholly China, China, China. So this one here, I already kind of mentioned it, Dam Designs Jin. This is the titanium version. I did mod this one. It came with kind of, what was it, teal, I think? Teal anodized hardware and pivot and backspacer and pocket clip. It was just a little too much for me with this electric blue, and so I took off the ano on everything, and I think it looks much better. Took it down a notch, and I think it ties it together better, but that's just me. Did the Primo. This one's a Knock Knives. I always forget the model because it's, you know, numbers, right? DG12. Knock Knives DG12. Very affordable knife, like $80, $60, something like that. Kind of cool. I think I went through everything. All right, comment down below your comments and your opinions on this video. Man, I hope I don't get skinned alive on this thing. I probably will. All right, guys, talk to you later.